The triangular theory by Robert Sternberg proposes that love contains three components, namely, intimacy, passion, and decision or commitment. Intimacy is used to describe the feelings of bonding, contentedness, togetherness, or belonging that commonly characterize romantic relationships. The intimacy component is associated with the warmth of feeling in love. The emotional investment in a relationship dictates one's expectations and the kind of love that could arise from a union. Intimacy dictates partners looking out for the welfare of one another, sharing mutual understanding, guaranteed emotional support, and consistent communication. The passion component explores physical attraction that culminates in consummating a relationship. Different forms of arousal define the physical aspect of intimate relationships. Decision and commitment are divided into short-term and long-term, such that people decide, in the short term, to love one another, and in the long term, to stay committed to each other. In other words, decision and commitment explores the cognitive aspects of being in love. The depth of love in a particular relationship is determined by the strength of the three components combined, with individual component strength identifying the kind of love shared in the relationship. The complex nature of love raises the difficulty of accurately partitioning emotions or feelings, but the triangular love theory helps comprehend the actual meaning of love and the approaches to navigating the complex terrain. The complexity of love is associated with genetic instincts and socialization, especially through the careful observation of others. The social definition of love is based on a prototypical organization that is characterized by behaviors, feelings, and cognitive processes. This table presents the various properties used in describing the components of love outlined above. Particularly, Sternberg explains that the emotions or involvement elements of the intimacy component and cognitive commitment are stable in intimate relationships, while passion or physical attraction is unpredictable. Individuals have the ability to control intimacy and commitment to the relationship, but passion is a bit more complex to try navigate consciously. However, it is worth noting that individuals are consciously aware of the passion component because of the high psychophysiological involvement, could be unaware of the intimacy feelings owing to the intermediate psychophysiological involvement, and commitment levels are determined by external tests, such as tough times. Primarily of the characterization as moderate psychophysiological involvements. Sternberg argues that in short-term relationships, passion is high, intimacy is moderate, and commitment is lacking because they are largely built on physical as opposed to emotional interaction. In long-term relationships, intimacy and commitment are high, while passion is moderate. Intimacy and commitment are at the core of most human relationships, including parent-sibling and among lovers, with passion being restricted to romantic ones in most cases. Sternberg notes that men tend to like and love their partners more than their biological families and best friends, while women love their lover and their best friend of the same sex almost equally, but they like their best friend more. Both men and women love their partners and best friends more than their family, with the sibling being closest in age being liked and loved the least. The author argues that the amount of love felt for nuclear family members is easily predictable, while that felt towards the extended family, lovers, and friends is not. Hatfield and Walster define the passion component of love as tremendous longing for one's union with another. The authors argue that people avoid choosing companionship or passion in relationships by presenting needs for a little of both. People are more likely to separate passion from personal experiences by intertwining it with joy and fulfillment. Sexual, self-actualization, submission, dominance, affiliation, nurturance, succurrence, and self-esteem affect the extent to which lovers are passionate. Sexual fulfillment is important in romantic relationships but is not in others not characterized by passion. Appropriate fulfillment is based on the ability to effectively meet psychological and physiological arousal needs. Some people associate pleasure with love and others with pain, with the different ideas of passion affecting individual emotions and the associations made out of love. Passion is important for bonding couples early in the relationship, and as it fades, it is gradually replaced by companionship and emotions. There is a relationship between passion and intimacy in romantic relationships, with the needs of one translating to the other. It is common for passion to develop in close relationships followed by intimacy, and the vice versa is also true. In hookup-based relationships, individuals seek optimal passion and minimal intimacy. The decision and commitment aspects of a relationship, while they might be listed together, do not always go together. While making the decision of loving someone sounds easy, the commitment to loving them in the long term could be a bit complicated. Loving someone in the short term could be based on so many things, including passion, but then commitment for the long term is tested across various situations, such as when the passion fades away. The emotional involvement of commitment implies that it is more related to intimacy than it is to passion. Arranged marriages start off with commitment, then intimacy and passion follow. Commitment is more controllable, as in the case of extramarital affairs founded purely on passion. This table by Sternberg presents the different kinds of love arising from the interaction between intimacy, passion, and decision or commitment. Non-love is described as the lack of all the three love components. Liking contains only the intimacy aspect, is common in friendships, characterized by closeness, and presents the possibility of containing the other aspects of love, as in the case of how some relationships start. Infatuated love, also called love at first sight, is founded purely on passion and characterized by a high degree of psychophysiological arousal. The symptoms of the arousal include genital, penis or clitoris, erection, hormonal secretion, and heart palpitation. Empty love is common in arranged or long-term marriages where unions lack intimacy or passion. Romantic love contains intimacy and passion, or is the addition of passion into liking. Companionate love combines intimacy and decision or commitment and is common in long-term friendships. Fatuous love combines passion and commitment and is present in rushed relationships where people get married or engaged within few days or weeks of meeting. The lack of intimacy increases the risk of relationship failure. A combination of all the three components results in consummate love, and it is the goal for most romantic relationships, although it is easier to attain than to maintain. However, consummate love is common familial relationships, with the passion component revolving around motivational needs such as self-actualization, self-esteem, and nurturance. There are other types of love documented by different authors. For instance, Alan Lee's typology of styles of loving includes eros, ludus, storge, mania, agape, and pragma. Eros love focuses on eroticism or physical attraction. Ludus love revolves around playing games and has minimal disclosure. Storge love focuses on companionship. Manic love has great emotional intensity and is obsessive. Agape love is altruistic, characterized by self-sacrifice. And pragma love is practical in the sense that individuals have a list of attributes they would want in a partner. Eros and mania are related to Sternberg's infatuated love, and storge love is similar to Sternberg's companionate love. This pyramid by MacLeod highlights Maslow's hierarchy of needs, with those below presenting greater likelihood of being attended to, then followed by the one up in the pyramid. It makes sense that the basic needs of food, shelter and clothing are addressed before anyone thinks of the intimacy aspect that is at the center of the pyramid. Individual intimacy needs are prioritized before esteem and self-actualization. This other pyramid differentiates being and deficiency needs. MacLeod differentiates being love as being closest to consummate love and deficiency love being closest to infatuation. Particularly, the author asserts, and I quote, "Deficiency needs arise due to deprivation and are said to motivate people when they are unmet. Also, the motivation to fulfill such needs will become stronger the longer the duration they are denied." Consummate love is more complete as it includes intimacy, passion, and decision or commitment, and as such, meeting the being needs or love encourages people to stay in love. Snyder and colleagues differentiate companionate from romantic love in a clear and consistent manner. On the one hand, the authors define romantic love as involving the whole body and is commonly associated with terms such as heartbroken, heartthrob, love madness, and love sickness. On the other hand, companionship is founded on the intimacy or commitment components of love, with people who are high in status, expert, powerful, or physically attractive being sought out for companionate relationship. Freud presents love as struggling for ego ideal, with similar associations being made with paranoia and jealousy. Careful psychoanalysis presents varying degree of emotions associated with both love and jealousy. First, love is presented as envious. Second, love can be projected, especially in instances of infidelity. And third, love may become an illusion, which is considered to be extreme. Rubin's love scale contains all the three components of love, that is, dependence, help-seeking, and exclusiveness or absorption. The scale measures all the components of the love triangle, but focuses majorly on intimacy. Particularly, the author asserts, and I quote, On the basis of the emerging conception of love, it was predicted that college dating couples who loved each other a great deal, as categorized by their love scale scores, would spend more time gazing into one another's eyes than would couples who loved each other to a lesser degree. With respect to the measure of individual gazing, however, the tendency for strong together subjects to devote more time than the weak together subjects to looking at their partners was not substantial for either women or men. The author likens this finding to Freud's theory of love, which suggests that oblivious intimate lovers are often ignorant of their social responsibilities. Race and Roosevelt differentiate between love and liking using two clusters, that is physical attraction and caring. Sternberg uses attraction in separating infatuated and romantic love from liking, but caring is part of friendship. Acker and Davis, in testing the triangular theory of love, uncovered that passion declines over time, but only for females. Intimacy levels were unpredictable, commitment is higher in serious relationships, and commitment was the strongest and most consistent predictor of satisfaction, especially for long-term relationships. Sumter and colleagues assessed the perceptions of love across individuals' lifespan using Sternberg's triangular theory of love. The study uncovered that adolescents between 12 and 17 years reported the lowest levels of all the three components of love, compared to younger adults aged between 18 and 30 years. Older adults, especially those above 50 years, reported lower levels of passion and intimacy but similar levels of commitment with other adults aged 18 to 50. Finally, the gender differences in the three love components were present but not statistically significant. Sumter and colleagues also maintained that the age-related differences in behavior and perception are associated with social transitions, life experiences, motivational changes, and development. During the various developmental stages, experiences, responsibilities, and values determine how individuals perceive and in turn experience love. Older adults are more satisfied with their relationships compared to younger ones. Psychosocial and biological changes, especially around puberty, significantly provide strong motivational changes towards passion. Sumter and colleagues present these changes as development precursors for intimacy and commitment. The decline in passion as individuals age is associated with a drop in physiological arousal, even though the reduction is small. However, intimacy increases during adolescence per the socio-emotional selectivity theory that will be discussed later on. The increase in commitment throughout the adolescent years is linked to the central placement of peer and romantic relationships in individuals' lives as they age. Schulman and Scharf examined the impact of gender, age, dating experiences, and quality of relationship with parents on romantic behaviors and perceptions among adolescents. The study uncovered that older adolescents who presented less frequent romantic perceptions of companionship and excitement were more likely to be involved in a relationship. Intimacy and emotional involvement was not impacted by age. Girls expressed a greater need for attachment, and dating adolescents were more likely to perceive love in terms of emotional attachment. Gallotti and colleagues studied adolescents' commitment by examining the factors that would affect their choice of partner and career. Gender, grade, and institution of learning affected the type but not the number of factors listed. Females were more likely to list internal factors for a potential partner. Males perceived commitment contractually while females perceived it affectively, and age affected the comprehension of commitment. With older respondents focusing on long-term internal concerns in defining commitment in terms of emotional attachment and mental processes. Thauha and colleagues studied the impact of parental and peer relationships on the intimacy, commitment, and passion components in adolescent relationships. The quality of parental relationship improved intimacy, peer or best friendship relationship improved partner commitment. Only the ethnic Dutch with poor parental relationships showed positive commitment towards their partners, and ethnic, more than indigenous, Dutch with poor friendships reported more passion in their relationships. Lemieux and Hale also tested the triangular theory of love in a study that included 123 women and 110 men. The research revealed that women reported significantly higher intimacy and commitment scores compared to men based on the fact that they listed the two components as more representative of love. The authors argue that most of the respondents involved in the study were unmarried, and as such, women scoring higher in intimacy and commitment is an indication of the desire for stable, monogamous, and long-term relationships. This argument is supported by women's adoption of pragmatic love in reflecting a detailed understanding of what is required for a relationship to be successful. All the components were found to be significant predictors of satisfaction for both men and women. Lemieux and Hale completed another study in 2002 that included 446 individuals in romantic relationships that were at different stages, that is, married, engaged, exclusively dating, and casually dating. The study revealed negative correlation between passion, intimacy, and the length of relationship, hence supporting the assumption that intimacy and passion decline as relationships progress. Commitment and the length of a relationship presented a strong positive association, with significant increase being noted as couples transitioned from casual dating into marriage. Respondents who were casually dating and those who were married registered low intimacy and passion scores, while scores on the same components were high for the engaged respondents. Gao tested the triangular theory of love in China and United States and found that for both cultures, the three components of love increased as relationships progressed or became more serious. Passion was reported to be higher among American couples, while intimacy and commitment were not affected by culture or race. It is worth noting that collectivistic and individualistic differences inform the formation of close relationships. Individualistic cultures consider romantic love as an important basis of union, personal well-being, and marital satisfaction. Gao documents some studies explaining that Americans and the French report higher levels of desire, pride, curiosity, and affection than the Chinese. Ting-Toomey studied the influence of cultural variability on the expression of intimacy, love and commitment, disclosure maintenance, ambivalence, and conflict across three cultures, that is, the French, the Japanese, and Americans. Americans and the French reported higher levels of commitment and disclosure maintenance compared to the Japanese. Americans were more ambivalent than the Japanese. The French reported the least expression of conflict, and women registered higher disclosure maintenance, ambivalence, and conflict expression scores compared to men. Sprecher and colleagues examined young adults' orientation towards love among the Japanese, Russians, and Americans. The variables assessed in this study included the determinants of falling in love, romance attitudes, love as a basis of marriage, loving styles, attachment styles, and the frequency of love experiences. The predictors of falling in love among Americans included appearance, similarities, approval from friends and family, personality, affection, something special, mystery, social standing, and isolation. The Japanese listed similarities, isolation, and personalities as more important determinants of falling in love than the Russians. Men rated physical appearance and readiness as more important in falling in love, while women rated personality, social standing, and reciprocal liking as important. Russians had the lowest number of respondents who believed love should be the basis of marriage. The order of the likelihood of couples expressing eros love was Americans, Russians, then the Japanese. Americans also reported higher levels of storky love. Russians were more ludic and manic. American women were more practical and manic. Japanese men were more manic, and men scored higher in agape love. Americans were more likely to attach securely, while Russians and the Japanese attached insecurely. Men presented greater likelihood of being anxious ambivalent, while women were more likely to present avoidant and secure attachment. More Russians reported being in love, more women than men reported being in love, and the Japanese reported a higher frequency of being in love. Mady and Rogers assessed the relationship between attachment, Sternberg's triangular theory of love, and relationship satisfaction. The study revealed that intimacy and commitment mediate the association between secure attachment and relationship satisfaction. Secure attachment and passion also predict satisfaction in relationships. The general effect of secure-insecure attachment on relationship satisfaction is mediated by intimacy and commitment. Secure attachment predicts intimacy and commitment, both also predicting satisfaction. A common approach used in studying love is the examination of existing love theories, individual presentation of love by those in relationships, and descriptive psychological presentations. The Thurstonian, Thomsonian, and Spearmanian theories by Sternberg and Grajek explore the intimacy component of Sternberg's triangular love theory. The Spearmanian theory utilizes the theory of intelligence in presenting love as a unifactorial entity characterized as undifferentiated positive feelings that cannot be decomposed. The Thomsonian model utilizes the theory of intelligence bonds or bonds of intelligence in depicting love as a host of feelings that give rise to composite experiences that could be decomposed into bonds common in close relationships. Sternberg and Grajek assert, and I quote, "Love is best characterized in terms of the Thomsonian bonds model, and that the structure of love is quite similar across the various close relationships in which one engages." The Thurstonian theory is guided by the theory of primary factors that presents love as a phenomenon described by small consistent feelings that contribute to the general experience of love. Thus, this theory focuses on the complexity of love and perceiving it as such, as opposed to trying and bundling everything together. However, combining the factors of love is fundamental in determining its strength, which differs from one relationship to the next. The socio-emotional selectivity theory focuses on people's satisfaction in relationships owing to alterations in the temporal horizon. This horizon ensures that younger adults focus on the future, while older ones focus on the present. As a result, older adults concentrate their efforts on fewer relationships, a phenomenon that enhances intimacy and commitment.